Saint Rose of Lima was a lay member of the Dominican order and known for both her life of severe asceticism and her care of the needy of the city through her own private efforts. To emulate Saint Catherine of Siena, she fasted 3 times a week and did penance in week. Her family wanted to get her married, but she wanted to take a vow of virginity, and hence she cut her hair and burned her face so that men would not be attracted to her. She would sell her work of handcrafts, embroidery, and flowers from her garden to care for the poor. She built a little grotto so she could spend her time in prayer. Apart from going out to sell her flowers in the market and also to attend Mass daily, she lived a life of voluntary seclusion in her room. Saints Zacharias and Elizabeth, parents of Saint John the Baptist. They were old and childless when Angel Gabriel told them that they would have a child. Zacharias was in disbelief and asked, "How is this possible when they are of so old age?" Then Angel Gabriel told him that since you did not believe, you would not be able to speak until the day when what I have told you comes true. Zacharias immediately lost his ability to speak. When Mary visited Elizabeth, the baby in her womb moved, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit and praised the presence of Mary as the Son of God. When Elizabeth gave birth, Zacharias wrote the name of John on a tablet, and immediately he regained his ability to speak and sang the Canticle of Zacharias, Luke 1:68-79, which is sung every day in the morning till today. Saint Bartholomew, the Apostle. Patron saint of butchers, formerly known as Nathaniel. When Jesus met Bartholomew, he praised him and saw there was no dishonesty in his heart. Immediately, Bartholomew began to believe in Jesus. As Jesus told Bartholomew that he would see great things, it came true when Bartolomew witnessed Jesus heal the sick and perform other signs to show God's love. After receiving the Holy Spirit on Pentecost, Bartholomew traveled to foreign lands to spread the gospel. He founded Christian communities in India and countries. Saint Jeanne Antide, Jeanne Antide, Thouret, a sister of charity, born 1765 in France. She joined Vincentian sisters in Paris, working among the sick in various hospitals. In 1597, she founded school for poor girls. 2 years later, she founded a new congregation in Besançon, known as Thouret Sisters. During the French Revolution, she was ordered to return home to a secular life, in which she refused. She tried to escape authorities, but she was badly beaten. In 1799, Saint Jeanne Antide Thouret founded a congregation called the Institute of the Daughters of Saint Vincent de Paul. Saint Emily de Viall was born at Galles, Albi in southern France. In the service of the poorest of the poor, Saint Emily consecrated her life to the poor, whom she welcomed in her home, involving some of her companions in a true charity organization. Together with them, in 1832, in Viall, she inaugurated a new form of religious life devoted to the service of all the poorest of the poor, caring for them in their every sort of misery, as well as attending to the education of very young girls. With the thought of spreading the gospel in the farthest countries, she founded the Congregation of the Sisters of Saint Joseph of the Assumption, and despite many difficulties, persecutions and poverty, managed to found 42 houses from North Africa to Burma, thus giving a significant development to the institute. Saint Louis, King of France, at his coronation as king, bounded himself by oath to behave as God's anointed, as the father of his people and feudal lord of the King of Peace. Every day, Louis had 13 special guests from among the poor to eat with him, and a large number of poor were served meals near his palace. To care for his people he built cathedrals, churches, libraries, hospitals and orphanages. He dealt with princes honestly and equitably. He hoped to be treated the same way by the King of Kings, battled at crusades, and gave his life to serve family and country. Saint Joseph Calasanz, founder of the Piarist Fathers, heavenly patron saint of all Christian public schools, was a holy priest, founder of both the world's first Christian public school and later the order at the pious schools, known today as the Piarist Fathers, all whilst devoting his life to the education of poor children. Joseph encountered many difficulties from ruling class objecting towards educating the poor as it would cause social unrest, people who wanted to take over his order, rebellion of one of his subordinates in the order, led through the streets like a criminal, and was almost put in jail. Emphasizing love, not fear, Saint Joseph wrote, "If from the very earliest years, a child is instructed in both religion and letters, it can be reasonably hoped that his life will be happy." Pope Saint Zephyrinus succeeded Pope Saint Victor on the pontifical throne. He abolished the use of wooden chalices, in the celebration of the Holy Sacrifice, and ordered them to be replaced by glass chalices. He prescribed that all the faithful should receive Holy Communion on Easter Day. He had to defend the dogma of the unity of God and the Trinity of persons against the Sabellians. Besides this strife, he had to suffer persecution. God always supported him in his trials, in order to enable him to support the flock of Christ. Epistle.
Saint Alexander of Bergamo is the patron saint of Bergamo, as well as Capriate San Gervasio and Servignano d'Adda. He was brought back to Milan and sentenced to death by decapitation. However, during the execution, the executioner's arms would become stiff. He was therefore thrown in prison again. He managed to escape once more and reached Bergamo. In Bergamo, he was taken in by Prince Crottatio, who recommended he hide, but Alexander began preaching and converting many citizens of Bergamo, amongst whom the martyrs Firmus and Rusticus. He was therefore discovered and captured yet again and publicly beheaded on August 26. Alexander may simply have been a Roman soldier or resident of Bergamo who was tortured and killed for not renouncing his Christian faith.
Saint Monica, the mother of Saint Augustine of Hyppo. She was married to a pagan official named Patricius, who had a short temper and lived an immoral life. At first, her mother-in-law did not like her, but Monica won her over by her gentle disposition. Unlike many women of that time, Saint Monica was never beaten by her husband. She said that Patricius never raised his hand against her because she always held her tongue, setting a guard over her mouth in his presence. Her constant prayers and tears for her son had the effect of converting her husband to Christ before his death. Saint Augustine, Bishop of Hyppo and Doctor at the Church, is one of the four great fathers of the Latin Church. He is at times referred to as the Doctor of Grace. One of the most influential thinkers and writers of the Church, Augustine's legacy in written works numbers at over 100 books, and 5 million words. Within those words, the philosophy and virtues of our faith are revealed, inspiring us to a closer relationship with the Lord. The conversion of Saint Augustine, following years of sinful living, reminds us that we, too, are called to daily conversion and that it is never too late to fully turn to the Lord. Saint Sabine is known as Santa, Saint Sabina, matron and a martyr from Rome. She was the widow of Senator Valentinus and daughter of Herod Metlarius. After her female slave Saint Serapia, who had converted her, was denounced and beheaded, Sabina rescued her slave's remains and had them interred in the family mausoleum where she also expected to be buried. Denounced as well, Sabina was accused of being a Christian by Elpidio the prefect. Sabina was later canonized as a saint, her feast day being celebrated on August 29. In 430 her relics were brought to the Aventine hill, to a specially built basilica, Santa Sabina, on the site of her house, originally situated near a temple of Juno. This house may also have formed an early Christian titular church.
We love it that you have spent your time listening to this video until the end. Would you like to share your experience of God's love? Come and join us at www.mustardseedscommunity.com/join-us. Till then, may God's blessing always be with you.